What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. For those of you who have seen a couple videos on the channel, or for those of you who have been around for even a little bit, I'm sure you guys know that I absolutely love this bike. It's 2017 Victory Highball. Ever since they came out, I wanted one, and I truthfully didn't really think I would ever own one, or at least own one, you know, in the near future. And I saw this one pop up, and I was able to pick it up. So I've always liked them, so it would be difficult for me to say, you know, anything bad about them. But I've had this bike for a little over a year now, year and a half. I've had it through all the seasons. I've ridden it in 113 degree weather. I've ridden it in 40 degree weather. And I've had quite a bit of seat time on it. So I'm gonna tell you guys the 5 things that I hate the most about this bike, starting with number 1. And that is the gas tank. Now, I've had a couple of bikes now, and I've seen a good amount of differences in the way that the caps work. This bike is one of these swivel caps, so it doesn't come off, and you have to have the key out of the bike to put the, you know, to open the gas cap. And I've seen that before. It's, you know, it's pretty typical on a lot of, give me that 91. Pretty typical on a lot of you know, sports bikes and stuff. But the other thing I hate about it is the tank is, like, the tunnel is really high in the tank, so you get a lot of splashing. Like, I get gas everywhere, so you got to go super slow. And the shape of the tank is just kind of annoying for filling it up. I would really like if I could pull the gas cap all the way off. Whoops. Damn, I'm full already, huh? I would like it if I can pull the cap all the way off and, like, set it on my seat or something and get rid of it. So what I usually do is I'll put the gloves on the tank and, you know, put the keys on the gloves so that it doesn't flop around. But yeah, not a big fan of the gas cap on this thing. It's bothersome. It's pretty annoying. And that's a pretty minor annoyance, but you know, it's one of those things where, like, you're gonna find yourself getting gas plenty often, so if it's annoying to get gas, it's annoying. Now, I don't hate it, but, you know, I've had bikes where it's the opposite, and I definitely like it more. So that's thing number 1 that I'm not a big fan of. Thing number 2, I can actually show you right here. So right now I'm in first gear, just chugging along, nothing crazy. We'll go this way so I'm not in anybody's way. Alright, so check it out. I'm in first gear. Now, if I were to let the clutch out and start to drive, I'm moving. But you'll notice my kickstand is still down. And I'm moving. I'm in first gear, moving fully. So there's no kill switch on the kickstand. And, you know, that's not the biggest deal in the world. Some people are like, oh, like, maybe you should look and see if your kickstand's down. And you're not wrong. I should. And I do, for the most part. But having a kickstand kill switch is only annoying until it's not. Until you clip it on a curb or something, or you're in a hurry, or somebody else is on your bike, and then you end up having a, you know, some dumb thing that bends your kickstand or knocks the bike over or whatever. So no kickstand kill switch is the second thing that kind of bothers me on this bike. I don't know why. This is actually the only bike I've ever owned that does not have it. Everything from I've owned bikes from the 80s, I've owned bikes from the 90s, now I have that Triumph from 2009. All of them have a man, I cannot say that. Kickstand kill switch. Kickstand kill switch. Say that 10 times fast. Except for this bike, it doesn't. You could just drive all day with the kickstand down. So, yeah, I don't dislike it enough to change it. Like, I'm not gonna go in and wire in a, you know, a plunger switch to my key or anything like that. I could, but it's definitely, you know, it's a nice thing to have. We'll say that. I would not be upset if it had it, because it's kind of par for the course. You know, I'm used to it. Thing number 3 that I do not like on this motorcycle is the transmission. Now, the transmission on this bike is a very specific designed transmission. And what I mean by that is it is a gear-driven transmission. So you have the front flywheel, I guess you would call it, or whatever you want to describe it as. I guess you would say flywheel, which is a gear. And then you have the transmission output shaft or input shaft that is also a gear. And on the way that those two gears are connected can vary depending on brands and motorcycles and whatnot. Sometimes they're rubber belts, sometimes they're chains, sometimes there is no rear input shaft for the transmission with a gear on it, and it's literally just an actual drive shaft. In this case, however, it is a gear on the front, a gear on the back, and then a gear in the middle. So you have a gear, turning a gear, turning a gear. And that's good in a lot of ways. It's strong. It, you know, the serviceability of it is next to nothing. It's pretty bulletproof in a lot of ways, and that's why Victory did it, I think. It's just a good design. But the one drawback of it, in my opinion, is that when you go from on power to off power, or when you switch, let's say when you switch whichever side is controlling the momentum of the bike. So if I'm on the throttle, the engine side is you know, the side that has the force on it, that's pushing the rest of the gears. If I let off the gas, the rear wheel is now the input force on that system. So the rear wheel, which forces it to the transmission, and the transmission's gear becomes the drive gear to then slow down the motor. So when you go on and off and you switch input shafts like that, there is a little itty bitty bit of play in that middle gear, which is perfectly normal. That doesn't mean that anything is wrong with the bike or anything that's wrong with alignment or anything. But that little bit of play can be clunky and a little bit, it can kind of throw you off a little bit. And it doesn't throw me off on straight lines, but it will throw me off a little bit during a turn sometimes. So if I'm going to go for a turn and I'm approaching it and I downshift from, you know, third to second, and then I let off the gas in the middle of that turn, and then when I want to get off, when I want to get back on the gas, there's a solid, you know, clunk there that can kind of feel a little bit weird. What do you guys think about these new electric Hummers, huh? I think they're pretty cool. They have like crab walk and stuff on them. I would say of all the electrical vehicles, that's definitely the least ugly in my opinion. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not, but that's what I think. Anyway, so yeah, the gear-driven transmission would be the third thing that I do not like on this motorcycle. It is, it's definitely something that I've found a way to work around. Like the shift points are very specific, and you can kind of get away without, you know, having that clunkiness in their way all the time. What I usually find myself doing if I'm in a turn or something is I'm just on the gas a little bit and cooking the brake, or I just use the clutch, and the clutch removes both of those things from the equation because it disengages the transmission. So now neither one is a, you know, driving force in that system. So it removes the slop, and then I can literally just let the clutch out in the middle of a turn again. And since I'm controlling that with my fingers, there is no like clunk. It's just like a, you know, a normal clutch release. Number 4, the thing that I dislike about this bike would be the fourth thing I dislike about this bike would be that they don't make it anymore. And it might seem like a cop-out, so I got some honorable mentions at the end, but the fact that they don't make it anymore means it's a little bit more difficult to find the information, parts, and people to work on them. At least it's going to be. It's not all that difficult right now, to be honest. I mean, like I said in a previous video, I was able to find parts for it pretty easily. I was able to find somebody to work on it and tune it relatively easily without really that much work. Is that going to be the case in 3 or 5 more years? Who knows? But definitely the reason that they don't make it anymore is, you know, I wish they made it more. There's a couple things, like a windscreen, for example. I can't find a windscreen for this thing that I like to save my life. It's pretty hard to find one because they didn't really make that many of them. So that would be the fourth thing I don't like about this bike. Now the fifth thing that I don't like about this bike, and this is for sure the thing that I actually hate the most, enough to consider changing it, would be the gauge. Is that a McLaren? Ooh, nice. I hate the gauge on this bike. Everything on this bike is designed so nice. I love the style of this thing. I love everything's blacked out and it's all nice and form-fitting, and the color scheme and everything. And then it's like somebody forgot to turn in their homework when they put the gauge on there. They were like, "Oh, Jimmy, like, we're about to start production of the Victory. Do you have the gauge?" And he was like, yeah, I'll just give you this one off of like a 2001 chromey chrome machine." I mean, the whole thing, I just don't like it. I don't know what to tell you. I don't like that there's no tack, personally, that I can get by. I can get past the no tack thing. Plenty of bikes have a digital tack now. I'm fine with that. But the things that I can't get past are, it's chrome as hell, which I hate. It always gets in my eyes. The sun shines on it, and like there's literally a reflection on it right now. I don't think you'll see it from your angle, but the rim of it is chrome. The back of it is chrome. The entire bracket that holds it onto these gorgeous satin black triple trees is chrome. And like nothing else on this bike is chrome. There's like some aluminum here and there, and there's some silver here and there. You know, like my levers are silver. The fins on the motor are silver. But that's really, the spokes are silver on the rims, but that's it. So the only piece of chrome on this whole bike, and this is factory, I'm not even talking about things that I have modified. The only piece of chrome on this whole bike is this gigantic chrome titty sitting on the front where my headlight is. And I don't know, it just bothers me. But aside from it being chrome, the part that bothers me is the color of it is also like a bright blue. Like at nighttime, the whole gauge, all the numbers, everything lights up like neon blue. And it's just like kind of harsh on the eyes. I don't know. I feel like green or orange or amber or yellow or white would have been just as fine, if not better of an option, like every other motorcycle I've ever owned. But for some reason, they decided to go with blind your ass blue. And I'll get a shot of it, or I'll cut to a shot of it in the dark here. But yeah, I hate the fact that it's blue. I don't know if that's something I could change. Some of these are digitally soldered in, and some of them are just bulbs. But if I can change it, it's to the point to where I would literally consider pulling this speedometer off, getting the bracket powder-coated chrome, painting the back side of it black, and getting the bulbs changed to like amber or something, because the chrome just bothers me so much. It's like literally everything is like 99% perfect on this bike. The controls are black, the grips are black, the bars are black, the risers are black, everything is black. And then they've got this big chrome bezel on, or this big chrome gauge on there. So I think it's just a missed opportunity, and it bothers me. Now, some honorable mentions. Those are the top 5 things I hate. Okay, so gas cap doesn't come off. The filler neck is really close to the hole, so you always get gas everywhere, and your keys have to sit on your tank. Number 1. Number 2 is the kickstand kill switch. You can ride this thing with the kickstand down, and that's just asking for a problem. Number 3 is the gear-driven transmission and the learning curve that entails, and the clunkiness that it usually kind of comes with. Number 4 is the fact that they don't make it anymore. Number 5 is this big chrome titty. And those are the 5 things that I do not like about my Victory. Now, do I dislike them enough to change them? Probably not. I would say, you know, the gauge I hate enough to change. The gas cap, I've seen some nice options to kind of replace it. I've even tried a few of them, and they didn't work that great, so I don't know if I'm really that bent out of shape enough to try it, but we'll see. Otherwise, that's about it. Now, the list of things that I like about this bike is gigantic, so if that's something you guys are interested in, drop a comment down below. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next one on the Triumph. Peace out.